Ladies and gentlemen, young and old, this may seem an unusual procedure, speaking to you before the picture begins, but we have an unusual subject, the story of the birth of freedom, the story of Moses.
Note how he is framing the story of Moses as a story of the birth of liberty. There is a particular political agenda that DeMille and the other partisans of the era were trying to do by invoking the Bible. They were using the Bible, in other words, and the stories to make a political argument. He makes us even more explicit later on in that movie prologue. Watch and pay attention to how he's framing the story.
The theme of this picture is whether men are to be ruled by God's law or whether they are to be ruled by the whims of a dictator like Rameses. Are men the property of the state, or are they free souls under God? This same battle continues throughout the world today.
Did you catch how he associated dictatorial rule, like under a pharaoh, with being property of the state, language used by communists at the time, so you can see how it's framed. But even further, DeMille and others were part of what scholars have called a Christian libertarian movement. Kevin Kruse, who wrote a wonderful book that you see the cover here, One Nation Under God, How Corporate America Invented Christian America, details how there was a partisan propaganda push during the late 1940s, early 1950s to present an argument meant to combat New Deal government America, trying to cut back, to sever all the federal programs, federal power, and the social nets that were being installed, which had been a losing argument. The New Deal had won. But these libertarians needed a way to frame their argument in a way that could reach a general audience. And one way to do that was by attaching it to religion. And that's why we get the birth of Christian libertarianism as a political movement. And one of the ways they framed it was around the Ten Commandments.